And there we go, just like that. Forgot to do the fancy button that kind of fades it all in this time. It just done the transmit now, and it kind of just threw it all at me there the way it does. But you know what? I'll live with it. Anyway, hello, welcome, one, all, any, I don't know. There is something on here where I'm pretty sure I can see how many people are with us or not with us, but what seems to be the case most of the time is that a great many of you join in later on or watch it later, because we're putting it onto YouTube now, so you can kind of enjoy it as and when and whenever. It's kind of been a bit more used doing it this way lately, simply because some of the stuff we've been looking at has been kind of like unboxings and things, a little bit more in-depth looking at stuff than just the little casual chats that we were having at the start of lockdown, when it was all very exciting. Now we're all tired. Now we've kind of had enough, and yet it still needs to go on for a bit yet. But that's just one of those things, folks. There's not an awful lot we can do about it. Now, Charlie is joining us, okay? However, Charlie has a couple of little problems to sort out first. One of them is a very small problem, whose bath time it is, and key worker, good lady wife, is not yet home from work. But that being said, we have stuff we can do and talk about, because last week we were looking at Black Seas. It's hard to believe it's been a week already. But in that week, I've managed to do stuff. And what I've managed to do, I will bring you up now. Now, before I go on very unprofessionally shift this around, I've just realised that a little bit of how we're set up here wasn't going to look too right. I am going to just take Charlie's window out of it at the minute, so that you're not looking at his living room ceiling, because that'll be a bit weird. But when he joins me, we will throw him in, and we will nip over here, just like that. Okay, so Black Seas, last week we unboxed it for a little bit of a gander, as those who checked in will possibly remember. I've been a busy little sort of a beaver since then, doing my best to try and get some of that Black Seas goodness painted up. Now, I have videoed kind of the build process. I'm not sure if we're going to bother throwing that up, really, because not an awful lot to it, to be honest. The ships, as they are, come in two main flavours. Okay, there's two varieties there, the frigates and the brigs. The frigates are the big ones, okay, and the brigs are the smaller ones. Now, this is all the boats that you get in the base set. You can, of course, for giggles, paint them all up as one fleet, and you've got a fairly decent starting fleet out of it. Or, as the case may be, if it's you and a couple of friends, you can easily divvy it out to make a couple of little starter fleets. And what we've gone with here is we have gone with a British fleet and the start of a Spanish one as well. And that kind of left one spare. And the spare we're going to do up as like a privateer or a pirate ship, something like that there. It can be a bit of a thorn in the side for both parties, or the two could be chasing it down, trying to recover it, or it could be just there to annoy, whatever. We'll play with that. Now, only one of them have I kind of got finished, okay? And that's this one. Still a little bit of cleanup to do on it, and I need to get the flags onto it as well. but I'm going to say I'm reasonably happy with it, okay? And I mean reasonably happy. I can't stress how stressful part of this was. Building it, no problem. Minutes. Painting it, no problem. A few minutes more. Doing the rigging, oh my word. Now, I don't know if it's going to come across very clearly to use there, but I have done all of the required rigging. It is all there. It's all in the right places, and it was a nightmare in all honesty. I have chunky fingers. I do not have dressmaker's fingers, and darning a sock would probably be a challenge for me. This was daunting. There's a few places where it hasn't gone quite right either, where it's ended up being a little bit slack. So when I've got time, I'm going to wet the cord, because I think whenever you wet it and you let it dry out, it does tend to shrink a little bit and tighten up. So that might work. The rat lines are, if you were here with us last week, you'll know that these are out of an acetate sheet that comes with it. Got to be really careful cutting those things out. Not only because they're fiddly to cut out. There's a couple of places where I kind of inadvertently, whether I had a bit of glue in my fingers or what, or the blade caught it. There's a couple of places where those rat lines, the detail got taken off. And it's also quite a challenge to get them in. I need to check with Charlie, but I'm fairly sure too that looking back on this, I should have put the rat lines on first, then the rigging, and then the seals, or possibly the rat lines, then the seals, then the rigging. I'm not 100% sure. I want to check. It may well actually tell you this properly in the book or on the website, and I just didn't bother looking because I kind of blundered through it. I was so fixated with trying to get this rigging aspect done, because this was a new thing for me, I've got to say. Overall, I'm quite happy with it. I'm reasonably impressed, but I'm at that kind of point where the thought of doing it to anything other than the other big ship is kind of like, nah, I don't know if I've got that much life and care left to live. In hand, I think it does make it look a little bit better. I'm just not convinced whether it's, for me, whether it's worth that effort. I dare say a better hobbyist will probably be able to do that. Beyond that, though, I can't fault these little boats at all. The detail on them's great. I'm just going to pop the masts out so that you can get a little bit of a better look. Now, these have been done fairly quickly. Rattled, as I say, through them. Used a bit of contrast paint to sort of bring up the detail as much as I could. Didn't have the yellow ochre for the British, so kind of mixed a colour that kind of came close to the yellow ochre, then put a little bit of a wash on it to kind of age it down. Done the deck, and I think I actually done the deck in like a pale sand, and then put like a sepia wash over that just to kind of give it that wood effect. The grills and things were just done with, I can't remember actually, I think it was like a plate nail I used, because I knew I was going to put a dark wash onto it anyway. But the detail that's on there, I'm fairly happy that sort of stands out quite well, both on camera and in picture. I could have been slightly neater. I could have been slightly cleaner. There is a few wee places where I will probably push myself to tidy those up a little bit before I go to the point of adding flags and things like that to it. They were fun to build. I'll give it that much. I did enjoy building them, but I can't stress I did not particularly enjoy trying to do the rigging on the first one. I found it quite stressful, to be honest. I found it quite stressful trying to coordinate thread, and there's little bits here as well. Just, and this is probably worth, if you're going to do this yourself, it's worth knowing about. Okay, sort of around here, here, and here, there are little holes, little square holes on the top end of the hull sides, okay, both sides. Make those a little bit bigger, whether you take a pair of tweezers or a pin or a screw, whatever, make those a little bigger, because at one point with your rigging, if you do the rigging, what you actually have to do is tie off around about here and then run a thread all the way down, outside, in through the hole, up, glued up here again, down, through the other, and up to here. So it's kind of like a down, up affair going on, using the holes on each of the three masts. Now, what I did find was that having the super glue poured out onto a little plate and a little, I was going to say chopstick, not a chopstick, cocktail stick handy, I was able to sort of dab in, and as I was getting ready and I knew I was going to be bringing the thread up, little line of super glue, roll the thread around it and bring it down and hold it for a few seconds, and that kind of instantly snapped the join tight, and it held quite well after that. For the initial painting, I'm sort of jumping here a little bit. For the initial painting, Charlie's tip of last week was quite right, which was do not glue in your masts. Leave your masts out. Once you've sort of done your undercoating, you can pop them out. You can get in very easily at the rest of the boat to do the painting. You can paint the masts up because there's a couple of different sort of schemes depending on which nation you've gone for, and having those to be able to pop them out was kind of handy. And I've got to say, in the initial stages of doing the rigging, being able to take the mast out was kind of cool too, because one of the first bits is like a piece that joins on here, then comes right down to the bottom of this mast, and then one up here, and to 2 points on the first mast. After that, it's a little bit more straightforward. You're kind of wrapping around points and bringing it down. But do pay attention. Sort of read through all the steps of that rigging if you're going to undertake it. Read through it, look at it, and as I say, double check. I'm going to double check. I think the rat lines should have gone in first and then done the rigging, because most of the rigging tends to be over them. I've tried to put it in after the fact, and part of it is they're not quite the right height. I should have sort of clipped them down, and I didn't, so they're not really sitting, strictly speaking, where they should be sitting. So I can only apologise about that. But what we'll do is, Charlie's joined us, so I'm going to bring him in, and then he can laugh at my paint job. So where is that? Where's that? I need to press a button for Charlie, so bear with me here, because I've blotted him out from the world. So here's Charlie, guys. There we go. There's Charlie. Hello, Charlie.
Hello. So you will have to bear with me because I'm still solo dadding it. But we've had a discussion about behaving whilst Daddy talks to somebody for 5 minutes. So we should be okay.
5 minutes, okay. No pressure.
It's because she's drowning herself in the bath, but I'm more concerned about the fact that the dog's trying to get in the bath with her at the moment. So aside from that, we should be all right.
We're slightly concerned that you've abandoned your child to the bath. Would you perhaps like to just go and deal with that? Because
I'm not abandoned her, trust me. She's 5 paces away, and she's big enough to survive the bath. So she's literally just here, and I'm just here. So.
Well, my question is, would this survive the bath, Charlie?
It wouldn't survive a bath with my little girl. No, definitely not.
It nearly didn't survive Uncle Andy putting the rigging on the boat.
I was listening.
Yes.
They do look beautiful though, mate.
They do, but Uncle Andy now understands completely why sailors have a reputation for potty mouths.
Yeah, something to do with their rigging and their rat lines.
Yes. Andy was not a calm, happy, hobby-filled lover while he was doing this.
The painting bit's all right, though, isn't it?
All the painting bit's a gift, but that whole finishing touch, as you told me about last week, I tell you, this one has been rigged. The other frigate may well be rigged. that may be the last rigging my ships ever see.
Just the front bits. You just need the front bit so that you can mount the flags.
Yeah, I've been, but well, you kind of really need those sails at the front.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you just literally those front bits, if you just rig that front bit to attach the sails, you don't really need the rest of it.
Well, I suppose fair enough. Fair enough. Good point. Okay, question for you. What's the order of construction? I went with rigging, then sails, then ratlines, and that appears to be wrong.
I think I'd probably go, sails and ratlines and then rigging. And so leave the rigging to the very end.
I'm tempted to go ratlines, then rigging, then sails, because there's a couple of points I would wonder how I would get that thread past the sails.
Granted, I'll give you that.
Granted, there was a couple of points where I wonder would this survive being flung against the wall. But I'd invested too much effort. I have them all painted though.
Impressive, dudes. Like, very impressive.
Yeah, they're all painted. If we needed to play a game now, I can go.
Excellent.
And mine have anchors.
Oh. I left the anchors off mine.
You did. One of mine is missing one anchor though, because it went flying. And I don't know where.
No, it's anchored. It's okay. It's dropped anchor to tack on or something.
It was quite chilly, and I was wearing my big woolly jumper, and it may well have got anchored in a cuff somewhere. But yeah,
there's a good chance.
But no, I've got to say, lovely models to build and paint.
They are, yes.
Really enjoyed the build. Well, the building, it's as you said. Oh, the build. There you go. But your thing about leaving the masts out, spot on the money.
Yeah, definitely worth leaving on.
Yeah, spot
leaving off, should I say?
I don't know. How do you feel about trying to talk about Blood Red Skies whilst you're also keeping one eye on 4 inches of tepid water?
I'm up for giving it a go unless you want to unless you wanted to try it tomorrow night. But I'm easy either way. It's up to you, dude.
You're easy. There you go, girls. You heard it here, and you heard it on We Gamers. He's easy.
Easy either way.
Apparently so. Well, there we go. Funny, that is what the lads at Warlord were saying when I was talking to them today. Yeah, they're worried about you. That's the only reason we were talking. They were worried about you.
Sure.
No. Hey, dude, seriously. Well, look, I'll tell you what. Why don't you kind of sit there, kind of cash, and focus on what you're doing? I'm going to open this and get all excited about things.
Cool.
And if things kind of go okay for you, you can interject when the time's right to kind of go, 1 second, she's eating the soap. Or, oh no, actually, that's a measure, Smith. You can't paint that with RAF colours. So, okay, folks, an unboxing with me, and maybe Charlie a little bit if he kind of pays attention. Charlie already has this. Charlie has been painting tiny airplanes, and you really should check out the pictures because he's done a very good job himself. Oh, look, he's got one there for you all to see. Very nice.
What else have I got over here? I think it's a Warhawk. I can never remember with the American so close to each other. I always forget which is which. These are my favourites. I'm not putting any decals on these guys, but these are Mustangs painted in RAF colours.
Oh, Lend-Lease.
And actually, the RAF were the first to take the Mustangs out in service before even the American Air Force flew with them.
Cheekers.
So,
there you go.
Yeah.
You're a little. You see, this has been great for your education. All this wartime gaming.
It has been fun. It's been fantastic for my education. I've learned more about World War II and stuff through bolt action and associated games than I ever did at school. So
See, this is what
yeah,
yourself and Carl should be doing, especially with the schools kind of now looking like they're going to go back on the stand down. Warlord should
yeah,
be on there doing a Zoom channel every day, focusing on the different aspects of history. And,
yeah,
yeah, and the schools could just go, right, kids, just log in and watch Warlord for the next 2 hours. There you go. Today's World War II. Today's aviation. Tomorrow's naval battles. Thursday is historical battles. You guys would be the viewers would be going through the roof. They'd be loving it.
it's what maybe it's one for the future.
Now, I'm liking these. What you're not seeing that I am. We've got little booklets this time. They look like little wartime information booklets.
They're great, aren't they?
Those are very pretty.
The guys and girls in the studio that worked on Blood Red Skies did such an awesome job, and it is very much in that kind of wartime press sort of look to it.
Oh, it really is.
Everything from the artwork through to the font and the iconography throughout it. It's designed to look very kind of periods. What's the word I'm looking for? Correct.
No, that's it. It's designed to look period, and it does. I'm just opened this, and it's the way you get like artifacts nowadays with the computer games and that, like Fallout and that. You get like the man just done retros. This is screaming retro style.
It's lovely, isn't it?
That's really nice, guys. Very pretty.
And the rules are broken down into 3 booklets. You've got like the basic rules, scenario rules, and advanced rules, I believe. And each tackles, all one of those elements. The basic rules is just this is how you move your planes around, so on and so forth. The advanced rules tackles things like your cards, your action deck, and stuff like that. And then the scenario booklet tackles all your scenario stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice and simple, straightforward. And honestly, it's one of the easiest games to learn to play.
It's that the visuals on that definitely are right up there in terms. Obviously, when it comes to the modern graphics, like the how to move and that, they're a little bit more. Though I do like the fact, very subtle here on which book I'm in here. Rules booklet. Read this first. I do like the fact that it's a little compass being used at the very back to show the example of turning. Cute. Okay, so that's very pretty. Little sort of magazine brochure style. Then we're through to the quick reference sheet, and that is sort of LP sized, nearly, maybe slightly smaller than LP sized.
And honestly, everything you need to know on how to play the game is on that sheet. That is largely, once you know how to move in a straight line and what the stats references are on the cards. That rules reference sheet takes you through a full turn and the way the game activates. So what's really quite unique about Blood Red Skies is the way you determine which plane goes next. So you go through, you'll see at the top of the sheet, you go through all of your advantage planes first in order of pilot skill, from highest pilot skill to lowest.
Right.
Then you go through all your neutral planes, again from highest to lowest, and then you go through all your disadvantaged planes from highest pilot skill to lowest. And obviously that will change throughout the turn, and it'll change from turn to turn. So every time you take a new turn, you'll be activating you and your opponent's planes at different points throughout the actual turn itself. So, for example, I might have an advantaged ace at level 5. You've got an advantaged rookie at level 2. Your ace is neutral, and my rookie is disadvantaged. It would go advantaged ace, advantaged rookie, neutral ace, and then disadvantaged rookie. So it's quite nice. And then you can affect the advantage level of your opponent's planes and your own planes by performing different actions throughout the turn. So you can literally fly in and try and outmaneuver somebody, which could knock their advantage level down. If you successfully score a hit on somebody and they fail to avoid that shot, that will also knock their advantage level down 1. And you can also burn your own advantage to gain extra maneuverability and speed. And at the end of your activation with the plane, one of your pilot actions is to climb back up an advantage level. So if you finish your turn and you're neutral, you can use your pilot action to become advantaged again, for going into the next turn and so on and so forth. So the whole game revolves around the base and the way that you can kind of tilt the plane backwards and forwards.
Yeah, I just see that now, and that right beside that here is a little graphic sort of showing climbing, flying flat, and what I would call diving. But in actual fact, rather than that being climbing, diving, or flying level, that's advantaged, neutral, disadvantaged. So they're using plane maneuvers to kind of represent the status of the plane rather than what those maneuvers actually are.
Very true, yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay, so it might not necessarily visually, that might not be intuitive, because I would sort of tend to think of a diving plane as being in an attack position, where in this it actually means you've done your kill thing and now you've left your tail exposed, that sort of thing.
Exactly right.
Okay,
yes.
so there's a little bit of an abstraction to it, and then on the back we've got all the different move and turn and wingman effect charts there as well. Lovely.
Correct. Yeah. Right. Give me 2 minutes. I'm going to let you have a look at the planes, and I'm going to come back and join you in just a second.
Okay, you run away.
Love you a second.
No probs. Per critter. Right, now what we should probably do for his sake, well, I think he's managed to set his phone down, so he's safe enough. We'll leave him to that there. So next thing up is the token section, and we have 1, 2, 3 sheets of tokens. I dare say I'll not be that excited talking about tokens. We're probably safe to get things wrong about these, so let's have a little look at them. So we have some hit markers, but it looks of things. We've got wings. These would appear to be hazards. There's the little compass. So it wasn't just a graphic in the rule book. It's also actually used for the maneuvers here as well. And then I think those are mosquitoes. Are those mosquitoes? And junkers, I think, on the back. I'm not 100% au fait on my World War II aircraft, unfortunately. And then I think we've got our movement stick here, and then this looks like a range for shooting, because I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a machine gun firing there and into the range that it's doing. Then we've got some clouds, because obviously you can hide in them and things can go wrong for you floating about in the clouds, on the back of which are dirigibles. I remembered the word. That's impressed me enough for today. After a day of work and what I've been doing, I remembered the word dirigible without having to think about it. Yay! Today's word is dirigible. I like dirigibles. Always makes me think of Doctor Who as well. Don't know why. Just one episode. But anyway, more clouds, more dirigibles, and there's these status tokens, the same as what we've seen on that quick reference sheet as well. So not only the position of the plane, but there's the ranking discs here then as well for activation orders. Okay. And obviously I would imagine these are going to go on the basis of your aircraft. If I'm any judge of components and the kind of shape that they're offering, what-o? So what we got? Oh, we got transfers. We got stickers. They're not transfers, that's a stickers. Yay, we got little stickers to put in our planes. Class. That's it. I'm happy. I'm minted now. I can cope with that. Yes. Everything's good in the world. Let's look at dull bits. We've got our aces, dice, and sort of the kill markings on the bespoke dice there for that. Those are nice. Nice wee heft to them as well. Got a bag of funky bases. I'm going to open one of these bags of funky bases and get a couple out, because obviously we're coming to the aircraft. And then we have some cards here as well. And if you're getting excited thinking, well, you know, last week he opened Black Seas, this week he's opening Blood Red Skies, that means next week we get to see painted airplanes. Look, I'm not just built to paint things, okay? I have life and other things to do, so you're just going to have to perhaps bear with the reality that painting planes might not happen. They might get sprayed if they're lucky. I can't open these, and I normally have a blade sitting about with the amount of other things I'm doing, but yay, there we go, we're in. Yay for skull measuring rulers. So what have we got here? Move this over a bit so that we can try and give you a look at some of the cards. And I have no idea, first of all, what these are. So we've got Ace Skills. We've got Theatre cards, whatever they are. Doctrine cards, lots of them. Aircraft trait cards. Okay, so there's a lot of different things. So let's see what Ace skill cards sort of offer us. Accurate, an ace can get the best out of his guns. Play on a friendly ace during an activation. Roll 1 extra firepower die when the ace makes a shooting. Okay, so these are obviously little quirks to try and help your top pilots. Slippery ace is hard to pin down. Tactical wizard, ace always looks to place their formation in the most advantageous starting position. Okay. Overshoot, the ace radically slows their aircraft, forcing their opponent to overshoot. Okay, so these are kind of nice. You can very quickly lightning reaction, master tactician, and true grit. So you can kind of get a clear impression of what those sorts of cards are going to throw out for people. What's the theatre cards going to give us? Radar support. Radar could guide fighters into highly advantageous intercept courses from beyond visual range. No idea how any of this sort of stuff's going to play out until we try to get to it. Or if Charlie comes back and tells us. He might know. We don't. Because cellophane's only off, so I'm not expecting to know all this stuff. Okay, I'm allowed to be an idiot in this case. So a couple of radar support. Clear skies, perfect flying conditions with limited cloud cover. Bad weather, heavy cloud, often limited air operations. Numbers, sheer numbers could drive an opposing air force from the skies. Home advantage, pilots over friendly territory can stay in the fight for longer. Yeah, less fuel being used. Okay, fair enough. Poorly trained opponents. Losses drove air forces to send new pilots into battle before they were ready. Superior armament, the air force enjoys a marked advantage in weaponry in this theatre. Heavy flak presence, operating in areas with heavy flak was fraught with peril, and there's 2 of those. Okay, so doctrine. What's the doctrine cards going to give us? Now a quick look at these then for us. Aggressive tactics, often best defense with good offense. A couple of those. Defensive tactics, a sharp turn could often spoil an enemy attack. High altitude performance, air force with a climb advantage use special tactics to exploit it and gain a tactical edge. High altitude performance again, low altitude performance, same sort of thing but close for the ground. Dive away, air forces with a dive advantage learn to use it to escape sticky situations. Ram attack, what? Desperate times meant some pilots were called on to make the ultimate sacrifice. Alright, okay, yeah, that makes sense, I understand that. Wall of lead, some air forces went all out and didn't aim for extended engagements. And seasoned pilots often outperformed trainees on every level. So you can kind of get the impression that these are going to throw in a fair bit of variety. And of course, it puts me in mind of the little sort of equipment cards and special cards that came with like the likes of X-Wing and Star Trek Attack Wing. You know, where you had your standard ship and it done standard sort of stuff, and then you could spend extra points to upgrade it with little upgrade cards to do other cool, cute things. That seems to be the sort of the sound of these types of things. Aircraft trait then. Tight turn, lightweight airframe, large wings allowed this plane to turn better. Tight turn, a lot of tight turns, but all tight turns there. Great climb, powerful engines, thin wings meant this plane could outclimb its enemies. So not so much variation. This great dive, something dive faster and vulnerable. Design flaws including a lack of pilot armor made some aircraft virtual death traps. Play, a vulnerable plane is being shot at. Oh, he's back. That frightened me there. I wondered who was talking to me. I thought I'd been called back by the Almighty. Right, we just had a little bit of a look there at the card components.
Yes.
Mosquitoes and junkers.
Yeah, so you've got, so they act as basically like moving objective markers in the game. So you'll possibly be either escorting them as the 109s or attacking them as the Spitfires and vice versa. So yeah, if you're playing like a bombing run scenario or something like that,
Cool.
you would use those cardboard components. And then I noticed, obviously, you were going through the action decks. You'll notice there's 4 different types of cards. You've got your aircraft trait, which every plane comes with a trait. The Spitfires come with tight turn, and the 109s come with great dive and what's the other one?
Great dive, is it? Great climb?
Great climb.
Is
and
it
something else? Or does it come with both? Great climb and great dive?
There's vulnerable, great dive, great climb, tight turn, and that's it.
Yeah, so the 109s come with 2 traits. And basically, let's say if you've got 6 planes, so you've got 6 Spitfires, you'll get 6 tight turns. If you've got 6 109s, you would take 3 great climb and 3 great dive. If you had 5 109s, you would choose whether to take 3 great climb or 3 great dive, and then you would take 2 of the other.
Right.
So where a plane has multiple traits, you have to split them evenly amongst your squadron. But it's your choice, obviously, how you split it, whether you do 3 and 2 or vice versa, etc. And then your doctrine cards are basically the way that the squadron's been trained. So the doctrine in which they've been trained. So it could be aggressive tactics, defensive tactics, and so on and so forth. And then the theatre cards are exactly that. They represent the theatre in which you're flying in. And then finally, you've got the ace cards. And the ace cards are what you would give to an ace. So every level 5 pilot you have in your squadron can select an ace card. And 9 times out of 10, the ace cards will only tend to affect the ace pilot himself.
Yeah.
But some of them have, there's a card, I can't remember if it comes in the starter set or in one of the expansions, called Set Them Up, where the ace, if anybody tries to shoot at a plane within X amount of inches of the ace, they get a boost to their firepower, because the ace is kind of helping them out, so to speak, trying to set up a plane for them to kind of fire off some shots as it flies past through their crosshairs or something like that, you know.
They kind of put me in mind, I don't know if you'll have played it or looked at it, but they kind of put me in mind of the little not bonus cards, the little advantage cards you can get for your ships in the likes of X-Wing or Star Trek Attack Wing.
Yes.
So you kind of got a vanilla ship, and then you can put these in to upgrade it and make it a bit more gamey.
It's very similar, but rather than them kind of being attached to the planes, you have a hand and a deck. And you'll always have 3 cards in your hand, and you'll draw from the deck. What makes it quite interesting is, obviously, you've noticed each of the cards has a different card back.
Yeah.
So although you're drawing from the deck, you've got a good idea of what the card's going to be next. So it almost kind of encourages you to play through your hand to get to the next cards. And kind of, what that would represent in real life is, the pilots of the planes will know what skills they've got, how they've been trained, and so on and so forth. So that it kind of gives you that little bit of extra kind of representation of actual, aerial combat, so to speak. So
cool. The last wee set of cards there is obviously just the reference cards for the aircraft in the game. The BF-109, the DO-17, the Junkers, and the Spitfire.
Yeah.
And trait, there it is, trait, tight turn, and trait, great dive, and great climb was right. Yeah, it's climb and dive that the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the stats in the game are super simple. You've got the top one is the firepower of the plane. The next one down is the maneuverability. And then the final one is the movement in inches that the plane can make. You'll also notice there is a Speedo. And the Speedo is for when you've got any ties in who's going to go next. So if you've got 2 aces and they're both advantaged, the faster plane would always go first.
Oh, nice.
So in the case of the Spitfire and the 109, the Spitfire is a little bit faster than the the 109 is.
Yeah.
And then so the numbers. So for example, a plane with firepower of 1, the way making a test works in the game is you grab a handful of d6s. If the plane has a firepower of 1, you need 1 dice. You then add the pilot skill. So let's say you've got a veteran pilot who's skill level 4. You would grab 4 dice. So you'd have 5 dice total, 4 for the pilot skill, 1 for the firepower of the plane. You roll those dice, and if you get a single 6, it's a success. So you're always looking for 6s on your dice rolls. What changes is the pool in which you're picking your dice from. So the higher ranking of pilots, the more dice he's going to roll. The better firepower on the plane, the more dice they're going to roll, and so on and so forth. So it's fairly straightforward and fairly intuitive in that respect.
Cute. The last bit we left just until you appeared back was, of course, the miniatures themselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. There's not much hobby in this one.
There's really not. In fact, because they're different colours, you could play it straight out of the box.
Yes.
And that was kind of the idea. You'll have noticed on the cardboard sheets, there's clouds, there's measuring sticks, there's the little roundels to sit over the bases.
Yeah.
Which denote the skill level of your pilots. But then, the planes are they're a soft plastics. They're like a PVC, so they're quite easy to manipulate. If they bend or anything, you can just chuck them under some warm water, and that will sort them out. It's only really the core set and the first wave of planes that are in this soft plastic. All the future planes that you'll pick up going forward will be in a resin. Which just means the details are a bit crisper and they hold their shape a lot better in the resin. Oop. That's somebody in the warehouse wanting to talk to me.
Well, here I probably want to talk to you because it's nearly 1:45, and you have your Twitch to do tonight again as well.
We're playing with battleships again tonight.
Very good. Very good.
So now I think I heard you mention before about time to paint and so on and so forth. One of the reasons I've got so many painted Blood Red Skies planes is it takes all of about 10 minutes to paint a Blood Red Skies plane, especially if you've got some of the army paints or aerosols. It's so easy, and even painting the camo patterns on things like the American and the RAF planes, it takes no time at all because they're 1/200th scale. Everything's just so easy. Like it's a little line and a little line, and kind of away you go. You're done.
You don't even have to do the decals. The stickers.
You really don't need them. You don't need them. It's nice to have, but again, it's not necessary. And honestly, it's probably if Black Seas hadn't come along, Blood Red Skies is probably one of my favorite kind of pick up and play games. Because you can play a dogfight in 40 minutes, and you're through it in no time at all. So it's well worth giving a go. I guarantee you'll enjoy playing it. It's a good game.
For the kids at home, how big does Blood Red Skies get? I mean, what's the biggest thing you can get as an expansion for it?
The biggest thing you'll buy is another 6 planes,
right?
Whether it be another, maybe 6 hurricanes, maybe it's 6. It could be 6 mosquitoes. It could be 6 Focke-Wulfs or something like that.
But we're not looking at like Lancaster bombers or flying fortresses or anything like that. There.
No, it's very much a fighter game, and it's geared around dogfights. Now, saying that, there's nothing stopping you putting 20 planes aside on the table. It's just probably going to take you about 2 hours to play a game. But what you'll find is that the more planes you stick on the table, the more it becomes a game of multiple games, because you'll have lots of little dogfights going on all around the table. But what it does play well as is it's a very good multiplayer game. Even if you all turn up with a single plane and there's half a dozen of you around the table, last man standing, so to speak, you can do that with Blood Red Skies because there's the way the activation order works. It lends itself to multiple participants. because you're always activating depending on the kind of the current status of your plane. So you'll go around the table, and I could activate after you, and then Alice could go next, and then Simon could go after that, and then the next time it would be Alice first, Simon next, then me, then you last, because of the advantage levels. The plane's changing from turn to turn. And like I say, it plays really well as kind of a big let's get together and play a big game of planes, or a little game of planes where we all have a plane each.
Yeah, it's not. It's just I kind of looked at it and my brain immediately sort of thought, you know what? X-Wing started like this. X-Wing started as the fighter game, and then of course now you can practically buy a Super Star Destroyer for it. So it just had visions of Hitler obviously building a super weapon in Nazi Germany, and I send in my squadrons of Spitfires and Lancasters, slow heavy bombers, because there's one weakness has been discovered, like the Dam Buster scenario, and all that sort of thing. But yeah, as always, the mind goes wild. It looks really, really nice. It looks really pretty.
It's lovely.
I'm really taken by the fact that there's no rigging. Very taken by that.
Your tummy feels better. That's good.
It always does after one of those.
I think she had a little bit of trap wind.
Right.
So it's come out. It was loud and smelly. But,
I think we can all share that we've all felt better after getting one of those out.
Exactly. Yes. But yeah, look. In fact, why don't we think about this? So. You don't need to paint these planes. They are how they are. Maybe next week, maybe if we start a bit earlier, maybe we start at 5:30 and run through 5:30 till 6:30 or something, and we play a game of Blood Red Skies, even if it's just 3 planes each. One of us sets it up, and the other person says what they want to do, and we can kind of guide people through how to play Blood Red Skies.
There we go. That sounds like a plan. That sounds decent enough. I think folk might enjoy that. I mean, we've got the whole bother of painting, 17th century fleets. Let's ignore those and move straight on to 20th century warplanes. Just because you're going to get shown up by me having anchors. But yes, okay. Well, look, rather than pin that on the board now, put it in pencil, because you've a lot going on. You're trying to conquer the Asian market. You're trying to get trap wind out of little bottoms and things like that there. So you double check your diary, your planner, whatever, and come back and let me know, and we'll firm it up after the fact.
We'll figure something out. Cool.
Right, folks, look, you've got to see inside Blood Red Skies. It looks like a lot of fun. As Charlie said, it's the box is self-explanatory. You're going to pick it up and run with it. If you are a kind of an X-Wings kind of person, I'm going to edge my bets and say this kind of fits that sort of thing. If you like World War II aviation games, well, you're either going to love it or hate it. I keep meeting people who either love or hate aviation games, because every game does one thing or two things right and one thing that annoys somebody. But if you're looking for a game that's going to be, as Charlie says, straight out of the box, you can play it. Open the rulebook and start to play. Enjoy it. And have a look at that. Check it out on the web store. Check out the other squadrons and whatnot that you can get for it. Sadly, there will, by the sounds of things, be no Super Star Destroyers available. But, every week we'll keep pestering them. Maybe we might get a Lancaster, because they're iconic. 50th anniversary, 60th anniversary. We need a Lancaster or something. Other than that, we are going to let you lovely people go. It's about 10 minutes until Twitch time for Warlord. Thanks for joining us. Charlie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Folks, if you've got time, you've time to run off, boil the kettle, get Twitch opened up, and sit down and get ready to watch Charlie and Carl as they talk more Victory at Sea. Are you doing some gameplay tonight?
We're actually going to be playing World of Warships to talk about Victory at Sea, because we've actually got something we can announce today about a little partnership with the guys at World of Warships. So,
class.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Even
should be
more
exciting.
reason to log in and check that out, folks. Okay, it's been a pleasure having you. If you are here, remember to hit subscribe. Tell your friends that we're lovable people. Charlie's gorgeous, and everybody should love him. And a subscription's like giving him a hug without having to actually touch him, which you're not allowed to do at the minute. So don't do it. There you go. It's as simple as that. On that note, goodbye, world. I'm going to use the fancy button, and we're going to feed.